Tonight on Elon Local News.
AT&T down, how to stay safe on campus if you're one of the customers with spotty service.
We find out why the university is changing the housing process for incoming freshmen.
And how one Elon student found her strength on the stage.
All that and more.
Elon Local News starts right now.
You're watching Elon Local News.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Samantha Casamento.
And I'm Amanda Gibson.
Amanda, we're very excited to welcome you to the anchor desk for the rest of the semester.
Thanks so much. I'm so happy to be here. If you've been having trouble making phone calls recently, you're not alone. Our Maeve Ashbrook looked into the two AT&T cell towers that are out of service near Elon.
My data hasn't been working for like 2 days, and I didn't realize it until yesterday morning when I went off campus and I couldn't, get any notifications. And
my texts don't send.
My parents get a little nervous if they're not able to get in touch with me in case something happened to me.
My friends were coming over to meet me at my dorm yesterday, and I left one of them outside in the cold for 40 minutes.
I usually get worried if I'm going to go out at night or if to walk somewhere, I won't have any rides or anyone to call.
In case of emergency, AT&T users can still contact the police department. J.T. Turney, the operations lieutenant at Elon Town of Police, has AT&T and says that 911 calls have been able to go through when phones are connected to a Wi-Fi network. If not,
just start flagging down people, especially if it's an emergency, to get somebody to contact us or university police.
Residents can also use social media to contact Elon Town of Police.
You actually could reach us through our Facebook page. We're always checking those messages on there.
To draw attention to the outage, students can download the app AT&T Mark the Spot. As reports go up in number, AT&T becomes more aware of the outage and can address it faster. Maeve Ashbrook, Elon Local News.
The regional manager for AT&T says he estimates the issue will be resolved by tomorrow.
As yearbook photos of Virginia Governor Ralph Northam in blackface surface, some photos in Elon yearbooks are raising eyebrows too. Despite requests from Republicans and Democrats, Northam is refusing to step down as governor. Here on campus, President Connie Book requested university archivists to look at old yearbooks, and they found students dressed in blackface and Ku Klux Klan outfits. Here is a picture from a play in the 1940s featuring an actor in blackface. And this photo from 1920 is from a party where students dressed in blackface and as Native Americans. The caption says, quote, "Miss Atkinson's success in the field of darky impersonation of vocal talent is assured," end quote. Charles Irons is a history professor at Elon and a member of the task force on studying anti-black racism. He says knowing Elon's history can affect the kind of community we are. With national controversies sparking up local conversations, it's important to recognize the facts of our history here at Elon. Joining us now is Associate Vice President for Campus Engagement, Randy Williams. Hi, Dr. Williams. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So our first question is, why did blackface become a trend in the Jim Crow era?
I think there are layers to that question in regard to the answer. It was one form of entertainment for a group of people, and that's on the surface. But then if you take a deeper level, it was actually another level of suppression for a group of blacks in the United States. And so it was a form of suppression and allowing racism to rear its ugly head in another form.
And so a CNN poll came out today that found 1 in 3 people said blackface is okay for Halloween costumes. Are there ever any exceptions?
Yeah, I'm not a part of that poll. I didn't respond favorably to that question, but I don't think there's an acceptable place for that in our society. It's just not. It's demeaning, demoralizing, and for a place where land of the free, home of the brave, it's just not acceptable. It's not aligned with our values of our country.
And is there ever grace and forgiveness for instances that have happened in the past?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's grace for all types of mistakes. We're imperfect beings, and we're going to make mistakes, and there should be some grace extended to those who offend or upset or hurt others. We certainly want to extend grace, but also with that grace comes an accountability. So now you've been made aware of the foul mistake that you've made, so we'd have to move forward with some education and action.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Williams.
Thanks for having me.
Make sure to pick up a special Black History Month edition of The Pendulum this Wednesday.
And as we're almost halfway through Black History Month, I spoke to minority leaders in Student Government Association to understand how their identity has shaped their experience.
It is a pretty sobering and humbling fact
to be able to lead a group of people who come
Thank you
from
so
very
much.
different backgrounds.
As a man of color, student body president Kenneth Brown Jr.'s leadership is unique. His diversity is something he thinks about a lot, especially as he leads a predominantly white campus.
I think it's pretty surreal in terms that a school where a lot of students are white is giving this black guy a chance to lead them.
As the face of the student body, he hopes to inspire other minority students to seek leadership positions, something freshman class president Lauren Adams sought after her first days on campus.
When I sit in SGA, it really does become apparent, you know, that like even though I'm black and I've been elected as first year class president, like I am not similar to most of this class, you know.
But at times in the meetings, the differences between communities can be glaringly obvious. At one meeting that Adams described as heated, she said the way a person voted spoke to their background.
Those who were voting a certain way were minority students and had a totally different experience on this campus than just, you know, upper middle class white students who kind of come from similar backgrounds. So yeah, it does get kind of frustrating, you know, because you look at SGA and you're like, where do we move from here, you know?
Adams says while the tension can be frustrating, seeing Brown Jr. as a leader is inspiring.
Kenny really inspires me, you know, to kind of be the leader that I aspire to be and go out and just kind of do it and not really worry about who I am and how I like compare to other people around me.
Amanda Gibson, Elon Local News. Adams says she hopes to follow in Brown Jr.'s footsteps and next year hold class president again.
The way incoming freshmen select housing is changing. Here's what we know about this change. The incoming freshman class will not be able to select a residential neighborhood to live in. The housing selection process is now random if you do not select a living and learning community. New students will still have the option to request a single room or an all-female or all-male residence hall. Associate Director for Residence Life Ian Reynolds said on the phone with ENN the change was made to make housing selection more fair. Sophomore RA Catherine Noon thinks this change can cause problems.
It could make it a little bit more complicated because a lot of the neighborhoods can be focused towards one group of people, and a lot of times they choose it based on those preferences.
On News Network, we'll continue to follow this story. And with Valentine's Day around the corner, we've got some tips to stay safe on popular dating apps after the break.
Coming up, Maeve Ashbrook will let us know if the rain is going away soon. And this weather this week has been so confusing. Last week we were enjoying that early spring and now it's rain and cold again.
For sure. I really wish we had that warm weather again, but our Maeve Ashbrook is in the studio to tell us what we're going to expect this week. Maeve.
Thank you so much, Sam and Amanda. It is pretty dreary here at Elon, and even though it has gotten progressively warmer throughout the day, that also means it has gotten progressively more foggy. We've been seeing some light rain and drizzle throughout the day, and so watch out when you go home for some slight condensation on tables, chairs, benches, and some small puddles on the ground. As far as our Phoenix 5-day forecast, tomorrow we will be seeing a 90% chance of rain with a high of 62 and a low of 39. On Wednesday, we have a chilly high of 56, but that is the only day out of the Phoenix 5-day forecast that we will be seeing sunny skies. On Thursday, we have clouds in the forecast with a high of 64 and a low of 48. On Friday, the rain is going to be coming back to campus. There is a 60% chance of rain with a high of 60 and low of 48. There's a slight chance this will continue into Saturday. There will be light showers that morning with a high of 55 and a low of 31. After a lot of 80-degree beautiful days last week, I know that it is very depressing to see this weather, but Elon students, I am here with you and I am braving the cold with you just as much as you are. That's all I have for you today. Sam and Amanda, back to you.
Thanks, Maeve. The chances to hear from a Holocaust survivor decreases each year. However, the Elon community will have the chance to hear from one this week. On Wednesday, Hank Brote will speak about his experience in 5 different Nazi camps. Now a resident of High Point, he's dedicated to sharing his story. The event will be in LaRose Digital Theater in KOBC at 5:30 p.m.
And it's not just humans that are looking for love this week, but pets are too. The Burlington Animal Services is holding a Valentine's Day adoption sale for our stray furry friends through the end of the week. It's $14 to adopt any animal as opposed to the normal price of $50 for cats and $90 for dogs. Program coordinator Laura Michael says it only causes a temporary decrease in the amount of animals they house.
adopt a lot.
The animal shelter takes in stray.
Unfortunately, we still continue to get a lot of animals in that are stray or surrendered.
The animal shelter takes in stray pets consistently, and adoption fees include the spay or neuter fee and basic vaccines. We're only 3 days away from Valentine's Day, and if you're looking to meet your special someone online, we've got some dating app safety tips for you. Our Rachel Ellis is live in studio with ways to stay smart during the season of love.
Yes, good evening, Samantha and Amanda. If it's February, you might be hit with Cupid's arrow or even a secret admirer. The season of love and forget-me-nots is well underway, and I've got some safety tips for those of you using dating apps. Now, if you're swiping right this Valentine's Day, here's a few things to keep in mind before bringing out that box of chocolates. Now, Elon technology instructor and social media expert Michael Vaughn tells us, don't be afraid to do your research. Ask all the questions you need in order to feel comfortable with the person on the other end. But when doing your research, don't give away personal information you can't take back, like your phone number or home address. When you do take that next step to meet in person, find a public place that's familiar to both of you. Also, don't forget to tell another person you trust where you're going. Now, Vaughn says about 10% of Americans use online dating apps at least once a month. And while safety is a priority, couples who connect on dating apps are getting engaged and married at higher rates than those meeting offline. But whether you're saying be mine online or offline, have a great and safe Valentine's Day, Elon. I'll send it back to you all on the desk.
Thanks, Rachel. It was a busy weekend for the Phoenix, and our Jack Haley is live in studio to tell you about this weekend in sports.
Men's basketball lost both games this weekend, losing on Saturday to Northeastern for the second time this season and the second time in overtime. The Phoenix really could have used a struggling Tyler Sebring, who shot just 1 of 17 from the field. It was his worst performance for Elon to date, but the Elon Phoenix will look to get right back on track before the CAA tournament in March. And women's basketball was able to split their weekend, beating College of Charleston on Sunday in Charleston. That was punctuated by Lexi Mercer, who had a career-high 22 points, 21 of which came in the first half. Both teams are back in action at Schar Center this weekend. And women's tennis is off to a 4-4 start, pretty average. But our Alex Reynolds talked to the team about how they bring energy to the court, and they are anything but average.
Women's tennis is 8 games into their spring season, and although the team fell short to William and Mary on Sunday, Coach Elizabeth Anderson says their enthusiasm is anything but average.
The energy definitely helps a lot. It helps because it gets your feet moving, it gets you in the right position for the ball.
One of the most dynamic players is freshman Uma Nayar, who can be seen yelling on and off the court.
I've been called a megaphone, right, a lot of times. But
Nayar and her partner, freshman Nicole Chailloux, brought 2 wins to the Phoenix in doubles competition over the weekend against Ranford and William and Mary.
to come twice in a row to come back and clinch, it's just a really special feeling, especially against William and Mary, which is kind of one of our biggest competitors.
Nayar and Chailloux are not only 2 of the team's freshmen, but they also make up 2 of the 4 international students on the team. Nayar is from Malaysia and Chailloux, Taiwan. Senior Maria Pareja, another international student, led the young players by example in practice and in matches with her hard-working style.
I feel like it's really important for them to realize that everything, every point matters. For me, sometimes I try to say don't leave the court until you give everything you have.
With their first conference game under their belts, the young team looks to harness their energy into the rest of the season, leading to the CAA tournament in April. Anderson says the team is going to continue to work hard.
I mean, this was our first conference match, and so I think it showed a lot of good things and a lot of things that we can work on to get better over the next few weeks. And so we're extremely motivated to continue doing that so that we can continue getting better throughout this year and have a very successful season.
Alex Reynolds, Elon Local News.
You can catch them and the rest of the team back in action at home at the Jimmy Powell Tennis Center on February 16th. Samantha and Amanda, back to you.
Thanks, Jack. Well, I have not been to a tennis match yet, but the team looks really excited and energetic for the season, so I'll have to be sure to go and catch it.
I'll definitely have to check that out for sure. You might notice the Sweet and Savory Crepe Station is no longer in Fountain Market. A new venue called Trending Toast is taking its place. This pop-up gives Elon students healthier breakfast options like toast with goat cheese, avocado spread, and other greens. It's called Trending Toast, but it's not here to stay. Guest Experiences Manager Casey Clayfin denied our request for an interview. He tells us in a statement, quote, Elon Dining is planning to have rotating food options in the venue that changes whenever the current option becomes less popular, end quote. Now the next idea they have, a ramen noodle bar. Students can suggest ideas for news stations by writing on the blackboards in dining halls around campus and tweeting at Elon Dining. So, Amanda, I've been here multiple times since it's open. I go there, I would say, like 3 times a week, and I have nothing but great things to say about it.
That stuff looks delicious, and you were telling me about it before the show. I made plans to go tomorrow morning for breakfast.
Oh, it's so good.
Really
I mean,
excited.
the toast with the most is my personal favorite. It's peanut butter, granola, chia seeds, and bananas on it. You can't go wrong.
Wow. I saw that they have like the goat cheese one that you were talking about and the avocado toast, so I'll be really excited to try those.
Yes, and you know, it's a great option if you don't want to wait in the Village Juice line after class, because you know that line is typically pretty long, but there's not really a line in Trending Toast.
Well, the Department of Performing Arts is kickstarting their winter production this week. Once on This Island tells the story of a young girl in the Caribbean who chooses between love and death. The first show will be 7:30 p.m. on Thursday. For a full review of the show, make sure to pick up a copy of The Pendulum this Wednesday. And after the break, you may have seen the 10-year challenge on social media, but one student's transformation looks different than most.
College is a time to discover what you love, what you don't, and sometimes even turn your childhood dreams into a reality. One Elon senior is following her dreams after a few twists and turns from her childhood. Our Selena Guevara caught up with her this weekend.
Rehearsing for a play next week, Maddie Scott is comfortable.
I'd fallen right out.
She grew up in the spotlight,
I have to be home by 10.
doing plays, teen shows, and voiceovers.
I'm too nervous to dance in front of all of the toys. My tummy feels funny.
Her training was intense at a performing arts high school where everyone wanted to be the lead.
It created a kind of toxic environment at the school just because there was that heightened sense of competition. And so a big reason I wanted to come to Elon and kind of move away from Toronto was to kind of like have time that I can just figure out who I am.
She's graduating with 2 degrees and was on the dance team for 3 years. She's found her place with a group of supportive friends. They joke around with each other, cook dinner, and partake in the latest social media trends.
We found it!
If we're looking back on puberty, though, Maddie's 10-year challenge looks a bit different than most.
My name is Madison Scott. I'm 10 years old and I have leukemia.
At 10 years old, she was diagnosed with blood cancer. But at that age, she didn't know the difference between that and having a head cold.
The first thing I said was, okay, well, can I get my medication? I have a show to do.
She says treatment was tough, but acting was her escape.
So I'd be getting chemo in the morning, taking a nap, then doing a show that night.
And ultimately, it healed her.
I remember doctors and nurses telling me if it wasn't for the stage, you wouldn't have gotten better as fast as you did, and you wouldn't be in as good of shape as you are now.
Her childhood passions haven't fizzled, but they've shifted. She's doing more academic research on therapy for kids with cancer. And her dream job?
Open a charity, because I definitely think that drama therapy is very impactful. It's the reason I am the way I am. It's the reason I was able to get through it.
Without the competition, it's everything she loves about the theater. It's fitting that the play she's practicing for is about empowerment. After all, she hopes to empower the next generations of cancer kids with the same magic of the stage that got her to today. Selena Guevara, Elon Local News.
Maddie will be graduating with degrees in sales and drama theater studies and will be performing in the Vagina Monologues on Thursday. You can catch that show in Whitley at 6:30 and 9 p.m.
And that was so cool to hear her inspiring story and how she is doing research to make that even go further and to give back. And drama therapy, I've never actually heard of that, but it's really cool. And Selena was telling us before the show that Maddie is still able to recreate those voices from when she was 3 years old. And
yes.
What a talent. I have no ability for that.
Yes, I know. That was pretty insane. But we have our
Maeve is back to tell us about the weather for the week. So what can we expect? You know, Maddie's going to be doing the vagina monologues on Thursday. So what can people expect on their way to that show?
Again, Thursday morning will be pretty cloudy, so it's not going to be too bad as far as rain like we're seeing today, but do watch out. The week should be pretty chilly, and it's going to be really cold in the morning, so make sure you grab a jacket on your way to class. You may have to shag it off a little bit on your way back, but really be prepared for that. It's going to be a bit cold.
So I'm hearing a Valentine's Day picnic may not be the way to go. Probably something inside.
No, probably something inside. The vagina monologues, perfect Valentine's Day activity.
Great, it's inside in Whitley, 6:30 to 9 o'clock. Go to that if you want something indoors, and it's not going to be raining in there, so that's great. What can you tell us about sports for the weekend?
For the weekend, it's going to be busy. So we have both men's and women's basketball playing 2 games at home. We also have women's tennis, as I mentioned. It's really crunch time for the basketball teams as we're getting down to the end of the season. They're going to need a big performance, but I think they can do it.
Nice. Awesome. And the weather for this weekend, what's it looking like for the sporting events?
We have a bit of a chance of rain Saturday morning, but afterwards it should be just partly cloudy and again the same chilly. So grab an umbrella and also make sure you watch out again condensation on benches. I saw a couple people today sit down on a chair and go, oh no, like it was wet. So make sure you watch for that on Saturday. Might be a little bit of an issue.
Well, thank you, Mae, for rejoining us, and Jack,
Thanks,
you
Jack.
too. That's all the news we have for you today. Thanks for joining us.
For all the news you need to know when we're not on the air, check out elonnewsnetwork.com and be sure to follow us on social media at Elon News Network.
Have a great night, Elon.